Hi, I'm Di. Welcome to part 2 of my sewing video. So I made the pants yesterday, so today I'm going to make the matching top. So first of all I need to get my pattern and then lay it out on my fabric. So yeah, come along on the journey if you're interested in sewing, or it's a good thing even if you don't want to learn how to sew, have a look through the video even if you just skip through quickly, and you'll see how easy it is to actually make your own clothes. So yeah, it might be something that you've always thought was too hard. It's not really. It's not really. So come along on the journey. Okay, I've got my pattern. I've got my pattern pieces laid out here on my fabric. Now, the thing that you need to be careful of when you're cutting your fabric is you have to look at the pattern and see if it's a pattern which is in one direction only. Now, this is such a pattern because it's, you can see, it's flowers growing, and there's also butterflies. There's a butterfly there, and they're only one way up. So we've got to be careful how we lay our pattern pieces. Now, I'm adjusting this pattern and I want to actually put a little bit more detail in it because it's just a plain t-shirt. I want to put some gathers across the back. So where I would normally be placing this along the edge, I've allowed extra so that when I cut that, I can gather it. And I don't want the gathers evenly spaced. If I did, I would be splicing my pattern and widening it bit by bit. But I just want the a centre gather at the back and at the front. So I've done the same with the front. And then with the sleeves, again, I just want a centre gather just on top of the sleeves, just on top of the shoulder. I don't want it to be an even gather all the way around. And so I've done that. I've taken it away from the edge to give me that extra. So I'm actually thinking I may not actually gather the centre back and centre front. I may put a channel and thread some cord through the neckline and gather it that way. So I have a tie at the front, hanging down, put some beads on it. We'll see what I decide to do, but it gives me the option. So I've cut out all my pattern pieces now, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to sew the front and back together at the shoulder seams, and then we'll put the sleeves in. So as I keep saying, this is a basic t-shirt pattern. Nothing more, nothing less, but I am altering it as I go. So what I've done here, I've just ironed it so that I've got a marker for the centre front. I've cut a piece of fabric, which you can see there, which I've also ironed so I can mark the centre of it. Now, what I'm going to do, so the purpose of doing this is so that I can put a little slit opening at the front. So what I'm going to do with that piece of fabric, I have cut it a lot longer than what I need it to be, but that way I've got plenty of wiggle room as I sew. I'm not trying to sew fiddly little bits. So I'm just putting that, I'm matching up those. If I get it the right way, I will be. Oops. Now, this is what I was talking about before. This is upside down. So we'll just turn that around. There we go. That's the right way now. Not that you'll see this piece. This piece is going to be the inner lining. So I'm just matching up those folds. And I'm just pinning the fabric. This will all be trimmed back, but as I said earlier, I don't want to have little fiddly bits of fabric which make it more difficult to sew in little areas. So I've allowed a lot extra. I'm just marking it on myself how far I'd like it down. So I probably only want it down about this far. So I'll put a pin in there where I want to finish my little front, my tab front. And what I'm going to do now is to sew along very close to my centre line, my fold mark, sewing down there, then around and then coming back up. Then I'm going to cut that and then I'm going to turn it to the inside. So we'll come back when I've done that. Okay, so there's my lines of stitching that I've done, and what I'm going to do is cut down in between that stitching. Okay, I've cut the stitching. I'm now taking the pins out. I'm just going to trim the bottom of what I stitched on there. But I just want to make sure it's not puckered and that I get a nice straight cut. So I'm just cutting the edge of that there, leaving about 2 centimetres. And now I'm just turning that back in. Okay, I'm going to need to cut it more because I'm getting puckering down the bottom there. Right, there we go. We've got that all tucked in. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to put a stitching all the way around to secure that. So I don't know if you can see that. I'll iron that in place first and then I'll put some stitching to secure it. And there we have it. I've done the stitching around that and I've ironed it in place. So we've got our little opening at the front. Right, now that I've done that, I've just put the back and front together at the shoulders and I'm just going to sew the shoulder seams and I'm going to overlock them. So I have sewn the sleeves in on the shoulder seam. So I've gone right around the shoulder. So I'll just put it the right way so you can see it. So there's the front of the garment and there is my sleeve. Now I just have to do all the way down underneath and all the way down the side. So that's the next thing I'm going to do on both, and I'll overlock them as well.